You know, sometimes, even when things look okay on the surface, you just get this feeling in your gut that something isn't right. And for me, that feeling started brewing the moment Josh showed up at our door with Ashley. My husband, Mark, and I have been married for 6 years now, and Josh, Mark's son from his first marriage to Brenda, he's 18. He's lived with us for a while, and honestly, we'd always had a pretty decent relationship. I've been in his life for 9 years, so I felt like I had a parental role too. But this day, Ashley was crying, and Josh was explaining that her parents had kicked her out and she had nowhere else to go. He said he was the only one she had. And look, I get it. In an emergency, you help. So, I let Ashley stay temporarily. They were over the moon, but I was super skeptical. Mark was too, a little weary, but neither of us wanted to be rude. Something just didn't sit right with me. We'd had our doubts about their relationship for a while. Ashley, she's young, but we'd seen some controlling and manipulative behavior. We'd asked Josh if he was truly happy, and he'd always said positive things, but still, those doubts lingered. My biggest concern was Ashley's story. Her parents? I knew them a little, not personally, but they didn't strike me as the type to just kick their daughter out like that. Her older sister, 24, still lived at home. Things weren't adding up. Ashley kept changing her reasons for being homeless. If we tried to press her, she'd cry, and Josh would jump in, accusing us of upsetting her. So, we had to walk on eggshells. Ashley stayed with us for about a week. It wasn't until I found prenatal vitamins in the bathroom and started asking questions that they finally came clean. Ashley was pregnant. With Josh's baby. And their grand plan? Oh, it was a masterpiece of self-centered entitlement. They wanted to keep the baby, live with us, and have us help them out in every way possible. And I'm not exaggerating, they actually had the audacity to tell me, with a straight face, how they'd planned for us, Mark, Brenda, and me, to be their free babysitters and their personal ATM while they went off and enjoyed life and figured out what they wanted. They said they were too young to start thinking about careers, too young to get jobs just to raise a child. Basically, Mark, Brenda, and I would be the actual parents, handling everything, while they kept the legal and biological titles. They figured they'd take over eventually, once they'd had enough fun and were settled down. This was their plan. I was beyond pissed. Mark wasn't home, so it was just me. Ashley tried to claim we'd help, but I shut her down. Right then and there. I told them, you made this decision. This child is yours. You are responsible. I made it clear Mark and I weren't interested in being bonus parents. We'd already raised our kids, we had plenty on our plates. Then, Ashley, barely a week in my house, had the absolute gall to suggest my teenage daughter, Emily, could help. My Emily! Parentify my daughter? That was it. We had a huge argument. I kept telling them how unrealistic they were. At one point, Josh actually said, since we'll be in this house, you'll have to step up whether you like it or not. That was my breaking point. Calmly, I told them they had 1 week to pack their bags and find somewhere else to live. I told them they were on their own. I wasn't going to be their free babysitter or their ATM. Since then, it's been a nightmare. Ashley cries and calls me heartless. Josh, he's had a lot to say. I tried to talk to him privately, suggested alternatives like adoption, but he wouldn't hear it. He wanted to raise his child like a real father, and I was being extremely unsupportive. He even started calling me that cruel, cold-hearted stepmother people talk about. It hurt. It really did. Mark wasn't home to back me up, so Josh was unleashing all his anger on me. Mark supported me completely, but Josh thought I was manipulating his dad. It's been so tense. They haven't even started looking for places, and the deadline was looming. They were so passive-aggressive, and it was messing with my head. I started to question myself. Did I go too far? I love Josh, and I want the best for him. It broke my heart that he hated me. I would have helped if their expectations had been remotely realistic. But I knew if I let them stay, they'd never leave. Mark and we're done raising kids. We don't have the energy. Mark travels a lot, I'd be doing everything. Josh knew that. He even said, "You're good at raising children, so this shouldn't be a problem." Just because I raised 2 kids doesn't mean I want to do it forever. Mark got back, and I made him read all the advice I'd gotten. I needed him to see it. Ultimately, he and Brenda, Josh's mom, they'd make the final decisions. And I have to say, Brenda surprised me. She and we're not exactly best friends. Civil, yes, but she'd always been wary of my parental role in Josh's life. But she called me and asked me to be there when they talked to Josh. She said I had a significant influence on him and acknowledged I'd been the bad cop. She wanted to present a united front. I was genuinely flattered. The meeting happened at our place. Josh told Ashley to go meet friends, and she left looking annoyed. Brenda arrived just as Ashley was leaving, and it was weird. Ashley immediately started stroking her belly and sniffing when she saw Brenda. Brenda just gave her a poker face, a curt hello, nothing more. Ashley looked miffed, then left. It felt like a manipulative tactic, trying to make Brenda feel sorry for her. But Brenda's not easily swayed. She went straight for Josh, grilling him. Josh was shocked. Brenda usually goes easy on him. She tore into him for trying to take advantage of us and for having a child without wanting the responsibility. She also told him he owed me an apology. And to his credit, he looked embarrassed. He actually apologized. He said he was scared, overwhelmed. He admitted Ashley had told him I'd help because I was so assertive and took such great care of everyone, even when Mark was away. He looked up to me. When I refused, he panicked and took it out on me. Ashley had been telling him I was selfish. I told him he couldn't just blame Ashley, and he agreed, apologizing again. I forgave him. I could see the fear in his eyes. Then, the 3 of us laid out the reality. We talked about adoption, which made him sad. But if he wanted to keep the baby, he needed a job, needed to save. We'd help with medical costs, offer occasional babysitting with clear boundaries. He had to step up. Josh surprised us by saying he'd already been looking for jobs and places because he knew I didn't bluff. He confessed Ashley was the one throwing tantrums, threatening to leave him if he couldn't convince me to agree to their plans. That's when I asked him, "Are you sure this child is yours?" He looked furious at first, then stammered. He eventually admitted he had doubts about Ashley cheating. She'd gotten pregnant before he could break up with her and swore the child was his, getting angry when he questioned her. Mark and Brenda were livid. They called him foolish. I told him he needed a paternity test before he put his name on any birth certificate. I stressed the reality of paternity fraud, how suspicious Ashley had been. We also tried to make him see how unhealthy his relationship with Ashley was, how she dictated his life. He didn't argue. He just said he didn't want to leave her, which worried me. He did agree to talk to Ashley and leave by the deadline. He said he understood our advice, but needed to think. He begged us not to cut him off. It broke my heart that he even thought we would. He was terrified. We assured him we'd always be there, but he couldn't disrespect us again. We reiterated the paternity test. The drama was far from over. Josh and Ashley started fighting constantly. Ashley was adamant they stay. I subtly hinted to Ashley I wouldn't hesitate to call the authorities. She went to Mark, who backed me up, telling her there was no guarantee the child was his. He said he and Brenda wouldn't pay a penny until they knew for sure. That backed Ashley into a corner. We all knew she was depending on us for money. She called us horrible, but we stood firm. When the week was up, they moved out. Separately. They still didn't have jobs, so they crashed with friends. It was good for Josh, gave him a hard reality check about how miserable he was with Ashley. We paid for a prenatal paternity test. Ashley was desperate enough to take it, hoping the child was Josh's. Well, he wasn't the father. That was the end for them. Ashley still tried to get him to stay, but Josh was done. He had a mental breakdown after that, needed therapy and counseling. It was tough, but he's doing so much better now. He's living with us again, planning to start college this fall. We don't know what happened to Ashley. So, it ended positively for us. The whole sage, as you might call it. It's a huge relief to have Josh back on track. Do you ever think about how one small discovery, like those vitamins, can unravel such a tangled mess?